In the future, it could be possible to have dozens or even hundreds of embryos to choose from. And when people hear about this, they often think about Gattaca, which I like to say Gattaca is a movie about a world that's much better for most people except for one guy. I'm Diana, and my heretical view is that most people don't understand what eugenics is, and if they did, they would find that they agreed with much of it.
Radicals, dissidents, rebels, and misfits. You can call them whatever you like. But what if they're right?
So eugenics in the larger public conversation has come to mean anything that has to do with racism or genes or Nazis or biology that I don't like. If you look at the actual definition of eugenics as bio-ethicists use it, it's any principle or individual choice that's intended to increase desirable genetic characteristics in the next generation or decrease undesirable characteristics to improve the next generation. Things like Lee Kuan Yew, the Prime Minister of Singapore, holding cruises to introduce college-educated men and women in the hopes that they would have children who would be more likely to be intelligent and pave the way for the future of Singapore. And of course, people have had widely variant ideas about what desirable and undesirable means. But if you think that health, attractiveness, longevity, intelligence are desirable characteristics, which I think that we do, then it should be fairly uncontroversial that we want to increase the prevalence of desirable characteristics in the next generation as long as we don't use violence or coercion. Now, another thing that's fairly uncontroversial is choosing who you have children with. In some way, you're saying, I want to make more copies of you for the future. If you look at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? He's the son of a wrestler who found the daughter of a wrestler in Samoa to have a baby with, because I think he wanted to make sure that his son was also good at wrestling or going to be very athletic. So you can see specialization, people actualizing their specific interesting phenotype in their mate choice. And I don't think that that's going to be undermined at all with things like polygenic screening or embryo screening. I think it's just going to increase the quality of the variety that we see rather than undermining the variety entirely. As I'm pregnant now, I've discovered that a lot of prenatal care is really intrinsically eugenic in its aims. In the first 12 weeks or so, what you're trying to decide is, am I going to keep this baby if there's something seriously wrong with him or her? If I could feed my child something when they were young, that would give them a 20% decreased cancer risk. Or if I could read them some book that would increase their IQ, I think everybody would be in favor of it. I see mothers do incredibly neurotic things that have really very little evidence in support of them in the small hope that it will improve their child's life and their child's well-being and their child's success in life. So I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that reproductive technology is going to enable those beautiful sentiments to have the best possible life for your child even more. I think there's a variety of assumptions that people have about reproductive technology that are unfounded. There's something called the expressivist objection, which is where disability scholars say, look, if you're saying that this is undesirable, you're saying that you prefer that people like me don't exist. But it's not used as an objection against, for example, not drinking alcohol when you're pregnant. I could very easily imagine somebody with fetal alcohol syndrome saying, you're always encouraging pregnant women not to drink when they're pregnant. Are you saying it would be better for people like me not to exist? It's important that we have care and compassion and that we make allowances for people with various kinds of disabilities. But it doesn't necessarily follow from that if we reduce the number of people with disabilities, that our care and concern for those people are going to decrease over time, or that we are going to become less compassionate for such people. Futurists and transhumanists have been talking for some time about changing the character of future generations through technology, innovation, education, and just giving people the kinds of incentives that would help them along. If we are in favor of, for example, giving people with depression antidepressants or medicating people who have psychiatric ailments to decrease their suffering, I don't think that choosing future people through embryo selection is that much different. So I think that a lot of well-meaning, kind, conscientious, ethical people are considering what kinds of children they're going to bring into the world and what's the best possible life that they can give to a child, both by choosing a child who has certain genetic characteristics and by giving them the best possible life that they can through environmental interventions. My husband is a somewhat controversial figure. He was like, I want to make as many copies of Jeffrey as possible because I love him and I'm going to use my own body as a photocopier.